Good evening, Alberta Writer families. This is Principal Moore. I am sending you a video this afternoon because I know there are so many questions about returning to school and the schedule and safety protocols and everything that goes with our return. And so I'm making a short video with a slide deck that should be about 20 minutes, and I believe will answer the majority of your questions. If it doesn't, please reach out to us either through the Google link that's attached to this email or calling our office directly, and we want to make sure that you have every piece of information that you need to start the school year. So I'm going to go ahead and start to display the slide deck for today with our information. And here we go. The first slide, I want to draw folks' attention to the closed caption and language options for those of you who need it. These are the directions for you. And if at any time, just a reminder to folks that because this is recording, if there's a slide you would like to look at more in depth, please just hit pause on your video and read the slide. Have more time to read the slide. Okay, so our agenda, we're going to talk about the context and our commitments as a school district. We're going to talk about required safety protocols. We're going to talk about health and safety in general, the school day, our virtual academy timeline, and then again, just revisiting how you can communicate questions and concerns to us here at Alberta Writer. So some key dates. August 27th is the deadline to sign up for Virtual Academy, which is this Friday. The first day of school is coming up on September 8th for kids in grades 1st through 5th. Kinder, it will be on the 14th for us at Alberta Writer. In October, well, I'll come back to that here in a second. For those of you who are in the virtual, choosing to go into the Virtual Academy, the end of the first semester is when you can return to Alberta Writer, but you are committed to go there until then at the very least. October 8th, that is a date of note on this timeline because we are seeing a pretty significant surge in COVID-19 due to the Delta variant, and we are specifically focused on the next 4 to 5 weeks in terms of keeping down the spread and having some pretty restrictive protocols, which I'm going to go into. Of course, we're going to be keeping kids and staff and community safe throughout the year, but I want to really draw your attention to our focus on the first month or so of the school year and how restrictive things will be from starting when the kids return until October. Okay, so the context that I briefly mentioned earlier is that the Delta variant of COVID is spreading very quickly. It's less understood than the original strain of COVID. It is definitely more transmissible and is causing significant harm to unvaccinated people in our community and every community that is really every community for the most part. So as a result, our hospitals in Oregon are overcrowded, they're near capacity, and we as a school and as a community do our part to make sure we're keeping everybody safe by helping our hospitals as much as we can. So our commitment and our priority is to implement the protocols that are needed to reliably hold in-person schooling every day for all students all year long. And we're going to be focused on safety and equity throughout. We're going to make sure that every student and family is getting what they need, and that is going to drive our planning. So here are some of our required protocols that everyone needs to be aware of. At all times, every person in our building must wear a mask regardless of their vaccination status. There are very, very few exceptions to this, which I will go into in a few more slides. So mask wearing is critical. We want people to stay 3 to 6 feet apart at all times. The 3 can happen in the classroom and during learning. 6 feet is, I'm specifically referencing and thinking about when people are eating or taking a drink or things like that. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the slides about lunch. We are cohorting students as often as possible at Alberta Writer. What that means is that essentially there's bus cohorts, there's class cohorts, and classes are sticking together and not mixing with other classes throughout the day, specifically in the first 4 to 5 months. We are not mixing cohorts at all right now. So you probably heard that Governor Brown has directed the Oregon Health Authority to issue a ruling requiring all public and private school teachers, educators, support staff, and volunteers in K-12 schools to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 by October 18th or 6 weeks from FDA approval, whichever is later. What that means for volunteers is we do intend to have volunteers back in the buildings at some point this year. Our goal is October. To be a volunteer in our building, though, you need to make sure that you complete a background check, which is standard operating procedure from prior to COVID. You also must be vaccinated, be able to prove it, and we will have a volunteer training for you that we need you to go through to be aware of all of our safety protocols We have in the past had a volunteer training at the beginning of the year. We've sort of done it intermittently throughout the year. We are going to need everybody to go through a training if they're going to want to volunteer in the school, and there will probably be more specific details and criteria around what it looks like to be a volunteer in our schools right now. But some of those things are being developed, and we are, like I said, very focused on the next 4 to 5 weeks and hoping to do our part in limiting the increase, limiting the spread, and letting this surge dissipate for now. Okay, so our goals for in-person learning for when students come back. We know that connections play a huge role in student learning, and we want to make sure we do everything we can to develop them peer-to-peer and with the adults who work in our building, our teachers, our support staff, everybody. We also know that kids are going to need to relearn what it's like to be a full-time student. There are all kinds of routines that were not happening during hybrid because the day was so short. And of course, we have new students, and of course, we have kids who were in CDL for the last year and a half. So we're going to teach them how to do school again. We're going to teach them all the routines. We're also going to comprehensively address the unique learning needs of every student, no matter what that is. So there's a variety of ways that we can do that. It starts in the classroom, but it also includes our specialists. It includes ELD, special education counselor, school psychologist, our family partnership advocate. And if you have questions about that, please reach out to our office or to me, and we will help you get connected with the person that you need. Our school hours and schedule have changed slightly. When I say slightly, I mean in the past, the school day started at 8:10 and went until 2:30. We're starting at 8 o'clock and going until 2:20. In the past, or in the first week, we also had our early release, I believe, at 2 o'clock. We're not doing that. We're going to end the day at 2:20 the first week of school. We're going to be consistent with that throughout the school year. The doors to the building open at 7:45. So kids will be able to come in at that time, and we'll have a traditional schedule, a schedule we've had pre-pandemic: reading, writing, math, lunch, specials, all those things, a regular school day. We're just going to have safety protocols put in place. The one thing that will be different at the start of the day is that in the past we had students wait in the cafeteria for the first 5 to 8 minutes of the day, and then they were released into their classrooms. We are not going to be doing that. Students are not going to be congregating in one area. We are going to have doors open. As soon as the doors open, kids go right to class, and their doors to their classroom will be open. Students will have assigned doors by grade level, and the plan is to do the same thing that we did with our hybrid model. So for those of you who are new, either because you're a kindergarten student or a parent rather, or you're just new to the building, or you were in CDL last year, that your classroom teacher will explain that during your Connect meetings. However, we do know that 4th and 5th grade students will come into the front door. First and second will come in probably through the gym, like before. 3rd grade, Miss Tao, Miss Mendoza's classes will come in through the covered play area. Breakfast will be in the covered play area. And then kindergarten teachers, Madrietta and Borelli, will have their students enter through their doors in the kinder playground. They will explain this to you during the Connect meetings, and there'll be people outside to help kids on the first day and help parents as well. Okay, so ensuring a healthy return to school absolutely involves our partnership with you as our excuse me, it involves a partnership with you, with our families, and we need you to conduct a daily symptom screening at your house before kids leave to come to school. And so if your child has got any symptoms of COVID-19, they must stay home. If a student comes to school with symptoms, we're gonna call you and ask you to come pick them up. Students will also have a visual screening before they get on the bus and when they enter their classrooms. The visual screening takes place of temperature checks in terms of, we're not going to temperature check every child that comes in. We do a visual screening. If a child is sick or not feeling well or tells us they're not feeling well, then we will send them to the office and they will possibly get their temperatures taken there. If your child has a persistent health condition that involves displaying any symptoms consistent with COVID-19, I'm primarily thinking about allergies, although there could be others. Please inform the school. It will be confidential. Your child's teacher will be aware of it, but we won't call you if we see these symptoms, and they can stay at school. So please send us a doctor's note, just so we're aware. Finally, we will continue to have students wash their hands frequently with soap and water and hand sanitizer, and we're also going to make sure that our school is clean, classroom, buses, bathrooms, all that stuff. Although I will just say, we know that COVID-19 does not spread through surfaces. Primarily, it is significantly more spread through the breathing through breathing it in, through droplets, through people talking, coughing, all those kinds of things. So this slide just is in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking families. So if they need to pause this slide to read, I just want to give them a few extra seconds to do that. More on ensuring a healthy return to school. So as I said, we're going to be cohorted by classroom and by buses. Students and families do have the option to utilize the barriers at their desk, which you can see that is Fluffy the Tiger of Templeton Elementary in Tigard. We have those things at school. If you like them, they're available upon request. Please reach out to your teacher. During the first day of school, we are going to be, in the first week, we're going to be spending a lot of time community building, making kids feel safe and connected to their class, to their peers, to their teachers. We're going to have something that we call expectation rotations, which involves teaching kids explicitly how to navigate the school, how to use the bathroom, or how to go to the bathroom, how to go to the lunchroom, how to go to recess, all those different pieces. And of course, the safety protocols in these environments and throughout the day are going to be a big piece of that as well. Again, here's a slide in Spanish. Just want to give our families a second so they can pause it. So as I said, social emotional learning, community building, connections, big part of what we are trying to do every day at our school. And we want to insert this kind of learning into our classrooms throughout the day. But there's going to be a classroom meeting every day that focuses on at the beginning of every day that focuses on this classroom community that we're talking about and teaching kids explicit social emotional skills from self-regulation and self-advocacy to empathy and turn-taking. It just sort of depends on the developmental needs of each child, but also just really what we want to do is make kids feel safe. In a year where there's been a lot of changes, a lot of disruptions, we want kids to feel safe. And as I said earlier, we do have individualized supports available for students and families who need them, from basic needs to mental health to all kinds of things. So please reach out if you don't feel like you know who to talk to. Our office can help you with that. I can help you with that. Some good news. We are returning to full-time in-person specials. Students will have PE or music every day. All elementary schools in Tigard-Tualatin added PE sections this year. We were fortunate enough to add a full-time PE teacher in addition to Mrs. Ayers. So Jill McIsaac, who has worked in Beaverton schools for the last 8 years, will be teaching PE, and we're really excited to have her. Because of the surge in the Delta variant and some of the unknowns, we will continue to wear masks during music and PE. There will not be an exception for music and PE. And so just want families to be aware of that. Going into lunch and recess, which is the area that I think is the most challenging, and I think I've gotten the most questions about, is that students during lunch, they will be 6 feet apart and maskless while they're eating. That is probably the place for the most vulnerable because they're taking their mask off, and we know that masks, you're not just protecting yourself when you're a mask, but you're also protecting the person next to you when you wear a mask. And so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be creating the appropriate amount of space for lunch so that kids are safe. We're going to have a designated area that each class is going to have for lunch and recess. So they're going to be with their cohort. They're not going to be mixing cohorts. We're going to have 2 classes who will be able to be safely socially distanced and 6 feet apart from each other in the cafeteria. And we'll have 2 classes that will be outside for for grade levels that have 4 classes, and that's K through 3. So right now, we'll have 2 classes outside in the covered play area eating lunch. That is our plan for the first few weeks of school. When the weather changes, we have the ability to move kids inside and to keep them distanced from 6 feet. But it's a little more disruptive to our overall program. And so we're going to take advantage of the warm weather while we can. During recess, students will have 2 recesses in the morning and at lunch, and masks are required during their recess. Even though they will be with their cohort of kids. So there will be mask breaks that will be happening during the day. They will be outside. They will be adult facilitated. Teachers will have flexibility on that one. But just want families to know this will definitely happen. And it's hard to ask kids to wear a mask all day, so we need to be cognizant of this. But also we need to keep everybody safe. So with the first 4 to 5 weeks of school being what they are, with what I've discussed with the Delta variant, we are going to be very, very comprehensive and somewhat more restrictive now, hopefully, but in 4 to 5 weeks, we hope to make adjustments if cases fall. Again, just want to reinforce the cohorting. For meals, we're going to have a grab-and-go breakfast and lunch available for students who want it. It is available for anybody who wants it. iPads, we're going to have students in kindergarten through 3rd grade leave their iPads at school. At some point during the year, 4th and 5th graders will be able to bring their iPads home, just like we've done in previous years. We are asking you to bring your chargers back to school as well. We need them for our carts. We need them to keep our iPads charged here while they're at school. Okay, so quarantining. So we will still quarantine those students and adults in close contact of someone with a confirmed case of COVID-19. All of the people in the cohort will be informed of a confirmed case. So if you have a child if you have a student in your child's class as a confirmed case of COVID-19, you will be informed of that. But there are some different things with quarantining that have been rolled out by the health authorities compared to last year. So it's different and it's less restrictive. So CDC guidance states that people who are fully vaccinated and do not have COVID-19 symptoms do not need to quarantine or get tested after an exposure to someone with COVID-19. K-12 quarantine exception. So a quarantine is not necessary for students who were within 3 or more feet of a person with COVID-19, where both students were engaged in consistent and correct use of well-fitting face coverings and other K-12 school prevention strategies were in place in the K-12 setting. Essentially, if we're staying socially distant and wearing our mask consistently, there could be a confirmed case of COVID-19 in your child's class, and we will not have to quarantine the entire class. That is a significant change, and it's a good one to keep kids in school. If a student or a class needs to quarantine, then students will learn, the quarantine individuals will learn from home. And we'll share more individualized information with that as it comes. Virtual Academy, again, let's just revisit this as we kind of wrap up the slide deck. You are committed for a semester if you sign up for it, and you will not be part of your homeschool. You'll not be part of Alberta Writer. You won't get communication from us. There will not be direct links to the students or the community here. It's its own school. So the deadline for a guaranteed spot is this Friday, August 27th. After this date, you'll be put on a wait list. So if you are thinking that's what you want to do, please sign up as soon as possible. I hope that this slide deck help you make some decisions about what you want to do. If you still have questions, though, there's a Google survey link in this email that you can fill out. We will use this information to create an FAQ and share with you. The information might not get out to you in time for you to make a decision around the Virtual Academy. So we'll do our best to get it out as soon as possible, but you might want to make a decision sooner. So if you have direct questions about your specific circumstances, by all means, call the office, call me. We want to help you in any way that we can. So our number there, 503-431-4900. And just to wrap up, we know this year has been extremely difficult for everyone. We also know that our families and our staff have consistently risen to the challenge. And whatever we face in the next couple of weeks or months, I know that we're going to rise to it and meet it again. So I want everyone in our community to feel safe and to feel valued and supported, and for us to be as transparent and communicative as possible. And the other piece I want to just leave you with is that everybody on staff cannot wait to see everyone back in our school as soon as possible. So please be safe, please be well, and if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Have a great day.